There's another interesting story in Barcelona that I've been reading, thanks to your prompting, about Pique. Their centre half in the great team they had, a former Manchester United player, couldn't get in the team at Old Trafford, but that's another day's work. He's a part-time footballer now and a full-time businessman. Is that right?
Yeah, it is. I love this guy Pique. He's the most interesting guy in the Barcelona
Shakira
squad.
is his girlfriend, isn't she? The singer.
That's right. Yeah. And a bit of trivia. She's 10 years older than him, but they share the same birthday, which is unusual. But he's a lot of off-field interests. He's said before he would like to become president of Barcelona one day.
Right.
He comes from aristocratic stock, or so-called aristocratic stock. His grandfather was a club director. He's from one of the wealthiest regions in the city.
Right.
But he's a lot of these business interests outside of football. He had a video gaming company which has actually just closed recently. He produced a documentary during the summer, his production company. You might have noticed it. It was about Antoine Griezmann's decision to stay at Atletico. This was
I didn't actually see it, but I'm actually very curious why Griezmann stayed at Atletico. Just in passing, we should mention that Borussia Dortmund beat Atletico Madrid 4-0 the other night, and I watched a lot of it. It was quite sensational. I thought, what the hell's going on in Atletico?
Yeah, I was actually at Atletico yesterday. The club is in shock. It was the biggest defeat under Simeone's reign. He's been there since December 2011. So it was a big surprise.
Sorry, I go back to Pique. I've thrown you there, Richard, but it was an amazing result. We'll return to it another day. Pique, he'd be getting on towards 30-ish as well. Yeah,
31, same age as Messi.
So there is an age issue there, isn't there?
Yeah, he's a central defender, so he'd have a bit more time, and you would think. But he retired from the international scene during the summer after the World Cup, as is the case often with these players once they hit their 30s. So he has a few years left to focus on his club. But the media and the fans are wondering what's going on with him. During the last 6 weeks, he travelled 33,000 kilometres around the world, to Shanghai, to the States, trying to, in his role as the head for the revived Davis Cup tennis tournament. Tennis is very popular here in Spain. Yes. He's been getting into squabbles with Federer, complaining about his bad knee and stuff. Federer won't sign up to this Davis Cup tennis tournament. So the people are wondering, why is he spending so much time on this sideline activity? For example, the Spain national team only travelled about 10 or 11,000 kilometres in that period. So instead of resting up, he's travelling around the world with all these moonlighting activities. So it's disturbing for Barca fans. Now,
on Sunday, if I want to make some easy money, and our listeners to this podcast want to make some easy money, because you'll always get at least evens, take your pick, and given Real Madrid's present form, even allowing for that, I'd still say it's an even money bet. Would we be wise to have a few quid on Barcelona to win this game?
It's a very risky one. You know.
I do. Yeah, the Clasico is funny. Yeah,
Clásicos and rivalries generally, the form guide goes out the window because there's so much more than the normal on the line. Real Madrid, as well, as we've seen in the last few seasons in the Champions League, they've risen to the occasion. Last season they were shambles domestically, 17 points off Barca. Yes. Yet they went out and retained the Champions League title again. So they can, and Sergio Ramos would be a good case in point. Yes. These kind of guys can lift it for the big games, and I mean, there's no motivation required for a Clasico at the Camp Nou. They've always been really tight over the last decade. They played out a brilliant draw the last time they played in the Camp Nou in in April. So it's very hard to speculate. Obviously, Barcelona, as we've discussed, are in better shape going into the game. They're top of the league table, but I wouldn't be putting too much money on a victory for them.
Okay, so my glib advice is Lopetegui to go, Barca to win. Have a double. Thank you very much.
First half of this. Okay.
Thank you very much, Richard, for joining us, and we watch with great interest the developments at Real Madrid.